So today we're here in Columbus, Ohio. We have a match between Gotham and the Current. And kind of the goal of today is to tell a story in one shot. The shot is going to be that one frame that really, it tells the story of the game. My name is Steve Sanders, Canon Explorer of Light, and also the Director of Photography for the Kansas City Chiefs. I've done photography my entire life. It started as a young kid picking up a camera and trying to find pictures to take them. I remember in fourth grade going on vacation with my parents and taking photos in Arizona with my mom's Canon AE1. Photography has always been my passion, and it's finding those moments in time that are kind of almost historic or timeless. Because if you kind of think about it, photographers, we are historians. We're recording what's going on day to day and trying to keep those moments, preserved. I've been thinking about the Explorer program for a long time, having a lot of acquaintances and making a lot of new friends that are current explorers. Honestly, I couldn't wait to become an Explorer of Light. It's such an honor that they considered and chose me for the program. It's really kind of humbling. I'm just a simple photographer. I make images and tell stories, and for them to look at my work and believe in me means a ton. What makes a photograph really stand out, especially in sports photography? It has to make the viewer really want to know what's happening in the photograph, what's going to happen next, what maybe just happened. So you just really have to find that moment in time and preserve it. One of my favorite lenses I've been working with recently is the Canon RF 100-300 2.8L IS USM. It's an amazing lens. It has a lot of versatility. Anytime I'm shooting action, it's on my right hip. I can be a little wide with the 100. The throw on it is really, really close, so it allows me to be really creative while I'm using that piece of glass. I always like to pair that with a long lens. So tonight I'm going to be using the RF 600 f4L IS USM, and that's going to allow me to shoot all the way down the field. If they're down in my end, I can get detail photographs. I have a lot of options with that. My final lens on my pair tonight is going to be the Canon RF 24-105 2.8 L series IS USM. And I carry that on my left hip just to give me a wide shot so I can turn around, I can get crowd reaction, I can get a player reaction if they're celebrating right in front of me. And that just gives me a nice trio of lenses to cover a sporting event. So let's talk about what's going to be in my camera bag tonight. We're going to start off with some R1s. I'm bringing 4 of those to the game tonight. What I love about the R1, it's the flagship camera of the EOS family. It fits in my hand. I've got kind of oversized hands, so the camera feels really natural. It fits well, whether I'm horizontal or vertical, the buttons are all in the right place. And, it's got so many buttons that you can program to do all the little quick features that you like, whether you're going to do a shutter drag or, if you want to do a custom function, you can do all these different things and set up with a push of a button. Always got to have a little extra juice. So, we're going to have an extra battery for each body. Always have the flash. Got an EL1. Always have that in my bag. You never know what sort of lighting situations might change. Got to have a little short glass. The 15-35, kind of my go-to on that. The other go-to now is going to be the 7-14. It's going to be a fisheye. It's going to allow me to do some stadium wide. If you're in a tight spot inside a huddle or a tunnel, you can get in really tight. The next 2 lenses I want to talk to are kind of staples in my bag. The RF 24-105 2.8 L IS USM. Now this is going to be on my left hip. It's going to give me that range. This lens is so versatile. It's an event lens, it's a sports lens, it's a wedding lens. You can use anything really with this one. The other kind of staple, and I'm not going to be carrying it tonight, but I do carry it a lot, is the RF 70-200 2.8 IS USM. The last 2 lenses I want to talk about is the Canon RF 100 to 300 2.8 L ISUSM. So since this lens came out a couple of years ago, it has become my favorite sports lens. You know, I always have this on my right hip. You know, I can go to it quickly. It's got a great throw from the 100 to 300 because it's a great range for sports photography. It's super sharp. You know, in my images with this, I always love the variety of images that I get with that. And, you know, kind of bring it home tonight, the RF 600 f4. It's a great lens. You know, it's going to allow me to get full-length portraits of athletes running towards me, you know, around the midfield mark or on the opposite goal. One of the great things that I truly love about all the Canon equipment is how durable and dependable it is, no matter what the weather conditions are. Being weather sealed, you know, if it's raining a little bit or snowing a little bit, I don't have to rush out and get into my rain gear. You know, we do have that tonight in case, you know, we run into inclement weather. You never know what we're going to find. But the dependability, you know, I can take this stuff anywhere. I'm kind of rough on my gear, and I know when I pull it out of the bag, it's going to work. And this is what's in my bag. You know, I don't photograph a lot of soccer, and to come out here to a match and really try to challenge myself to get a compelling photograph on something I'm not necessarily comfortable with. You know, I had a warm up at a match the other night, so I feel like I'm a little bit more prepared to find that story and tell that story of what's going to happen tonight. Thank you for coming on this journey with me to capture the shot. Please like this video and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Canon.